You know, when the Korean War ended in 1953, each side agreed to push their troops back from the front line by about 2,000 yards. That area is now called the DMZ. With the help of some U.S. and South Korean officials, we arranged to get a military escort into the area that still separates the Korean peninsula in half. Welcome to the Demilitarized Zone, 160 miles long, about 2.5 miles wide. It's a border barrier that was created by the Korean Armistice Agreement in 1953, intersects that famous 38th parallel north, and divides Korea roughly in half, all that you see over there. There are villages and people who live in the DMZ, both on the North and South Korean side. Occasionally you'll hear loudspeaker propaganda from areas like the North Korean propaganda village, they call it. And there are residents on the South Korean side with all kinds of special rules. There are curfews from midnight to sunrise. They're not taxed. And any rice that they grow is bought and distributed as DMZ rice. So here we are, we're inside what they call the Joint Security Area. It is the zone within the DMZ that for years allowed the North and South Koreans to interact under the terms of the armistice that was signed in 1953. What you're looking at here are these South Korean soldiers with their backs to us, but facing the North Korean side. I don't know if you can see this sort of concrete barrier on the floor about halfway past these blue buildings. That's essentially where the border is between North and South Korea. Now, South Korean soldiers face the North Korean counterpart, but when the North Koreans do come out, they tend to face each other and not the South Koreans. This, of course, has been a source of tension over the years. There have been instances where, over time, hundreds of diplomats and soldiers have been injured or killed because of tensions between the two sides. Now, the armistice wasn't signed in this particular building, but sort of in a big tent that was on the same location. And that armistice essentially laid down the rules about where soldiers could travel, where you could deploy military personnel, where you could put military equipment. And that armistice has lasted for 65 years. Does the MDL go exactly through the building? One thing you'll notice over here is a bridge in the distance. They call it the Bridge of No Return. When the armistice was signed, POWs were given the chance to go to the country of their choice across that bridge. But we're told once they did, they could never go back.
Somehow they face each other.
But we're
go to checkpoint 3. So
officials here tell us the fact that the Joint Security Area even exists is symbolic of the hope that one day Korea will reunite. But for now, it is the central location of one of the most tense military standoffs in the world. I got to tell you guys, a little surreal, a little eerie to take that tour. It's not a retail tour. Not anybody can just sign up and go. You need to go through military channels. But very strange, probably an area of the world that not a lot of people will ever go to. And not without a little bit of stagecraft. Our tour guides were soldiers, but they kind of had a script. And they worked very hard to keep us in line. We could only point our cameras in one direction. We were told not to wave to any North Korean soldiers whom we saw in case they thought we were trying to mock them. And in fact, we did see some cross those stairs of that white building right there as we were there. Who knows if they know when the tour groups are coming through and whether that was a coincidence or not. Very hard to tell, but fascinating.
Fascinating for sure, and chilling, Carl. I mean, and, you know, there was so much talk before these games about how close it was happening to that border, and now with all of the efforts that North Korea has made to kind of say, you know, reach out to the South, and it sounds like a lot of South Koreans are like not even that pleased about it. It's just like, you know what, this was supposed to be our games, kind of our moment on the international stage here. It's just become incredibly tense, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the whole charm offensive that we talked about last week is politically fraught. There's probably some element of the South Korean population, mostly older Koreans who remember unification, who have some nostalgia for a unified Korea. But obviously we know about North Korea's abuses. We know what's probably behind this charm offensive, and that's why it's so dangerous.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.